During the heatwave of July 2022, while house-sitting for my aunt in Wildwood, New Jersey, I took an evening job on the pier to scrape together tuition cash, thinking nothing could ruin a seaside summer of funnel cakes and midnight surf. But the boardwalk kept one attraction hidden for people willing to stay past closing, and I was foolish enough to go looking. The work was easy. Sweep the arcade, lock kiddie ride coin boxes, and radio the night guard at 1:30. On my third shift, the temperature clung to 90, even after midnight, humidity thick enough to taste, and the neon lights bled into a pink haze that made every souvenir booth glow like a wound. At 1:10 a.m., I killed the last skee ball lane, but the scoreboard flickered back on by itself, displaying a score of 00013 before rolling to 00014 as if an invisible player kept rolling perfect gutters. I unplugged the machine, the score faded. Outside, the wooden planks groaned under tourists leaving bars, yet when I stepped onto the deserted stretch behind the Ferris wheel, no footfalls echoed but mine. The night guard, Wallace, normally met me by the saltwater taffy stand for final checks. He didn't show. The pier office radio crackled, words buried in static. I caught only my name distorted as though reverberating underwater. Thinking Wallace was messing with me, I headed down the maintenance ramp that ran beneath the pier toward the beach. Full moon glare silvered the Atlantic, and at low tide the exposed pilings stood like charred ribs. A breeze carried fried dough sweetness mixed with rot. At the ramp's end, a service door gaped where it should have been locked. Inside, a single bulb swung above an old bumper car floor the public never saw, used decades ago, now storage for broken rides. On the scuffed metal surface stood a coin-op fortune-teller cabinet I'd never seen topside. Its glass case held a mannequin sailor, hand resting on a brass wheel. The cabinet's feed slot was crusted with salt. Nonetheless, the machine lit up as I entered, ocean water dripping from its seams. A tinny voice rolled out, not from the speaker but from beneath the floor, speaking my name in Wallace's tone, telling me to insert a ticket. My pockets held just one ride stub I'd found while sweeping, stamped July 13th. I fed it into the slot. Gears clanked and the sailor's eyes pivoted, whites filmed with seawater. A card spit out. High tide comes for those who stay. The floor vibrated. I stepped back and the bulb overhead flared, showing wet footprints leading from the exit deeper into the pier's underbelly. Wallace's walkie chirped somewhere ahead. I followed, calling for him. The footprints ended at a stairwell that descended below sea level, a place I hadn't known existed. As I edged downward, waves thudded the pilings louder than surf outside. The air chilled, tasting of iron. Halfway down, the stairwell plunged into darkness. My phone flashlight revealed the lowest steps, submerged in ankle-deep water, reflecting carousel lights that shouldn't reach this far. Wallace's radio lay on the top wet steps, speaker hissing surf static intercut with the same scoreboard numbers, 13, 14, 15. Against judgment, I waded in. The corridor at the bottom opened into a cavernous maintenance bay crisscrossed by barnacled beams. Tidewater sloshed at my shins, though the ocean still lay 50 yards out. In the center floated a miniature pier, an exact model of Wildwood Boardwalk, each bulb blazing, balanced on a black barrel that bobbed without drifting. Tiny figurines moved along its planks, stiff marionettes inching towards the model's far end, where a scale Ferris wheel spun. I lifted the model's corner, hoping to find Wallace beneath, but the barrel toppled, spilling hundreds of ride tickets into the water. Each bore a date stretching back decades, every July 13th circled in red. A cold current wrapped my legs, tugging me seaward. I turned and the stairwell had vanished, replaced by moonlit beach stretching endlessly under the pier. Above, wooden planks trembled under dozens of invisible footfalls. The fortune-teller's voice boomed from the pilings, now measured and deep. High tide marks the count. Waves struck harder, and water climbed to my knees, then thighs, each surge matching another scoreboard number shouted overhead, 16, 17. Around me, the model pier lights winked out one by one as the real boardwalk above darkened in sync. I fought upstream toward where the ramp should have stood, calling Wallace's name. A shape rose among the pilings, man tall, wearing the sailor mannequin's cap, face swollen with brine. It lifted Wallace's walkie to where its mouth should be and whispered 18 in my own voice. Adrenaline flung me into a sprint. I splashed free of the bay and burst onto open sand. The ocean behind fell silent, moon wiping its memory. Looking back, no sailor, no door, just solid pier beams. I scrambled up to the boardwalk, every attraction dark, yet the skee-ball scoreboard in the locked arcade flickered numbers climbing toward 30. My phone buzzed. An unread message from Wallace's number, timestamp 1:30 a.m, reading low tide safe. Don't stay. I rang him. Call failed. Police later searched but found only his radio, corroded as if submerged for years. The pier reopened next night as if nothing happened. I quit. Weeks later, an envelope arrived at my apartment containing a crumpled fortune card smelling of salt. Words smeared except to count and return. I avoid boardwalks now, yet each July 13th at precisely 1:13 a.m, my TV screen powers on, showing a live feed of that hidden bumper car floor. Tide water lapping at mannequin ankles while the scoreboard clicks upward, daring me to keep counting until the boardwalk finds enough footsteps to bring high tide as far inland as my living room. During a sweltering August night in 2021 outside Baker City, Oregon, I detoured off I-84 when a hand-painted billboard promised one-night revival, Cypress Drive-In, 8 p.m, free admission, and because childhood summers meant scratchy speakers and mosquito coils, I followed a dusty farm road until twin searchlights stabbed the dusk, revealing a cracked asphalt lot dotted with maybe a dozen cars angled toward a titanic outdoor screen that looked freshly whitewashed despite 2 decades of abandonment. Heat shimmered off hoods, cicadas droned, and the sky still held pink where the blue mountains swallowed sunset. As I rolled to the back row, clipped the tin speaker onto my window and realized no ticket booth, staff, or concession stand operated, only a power generator pulsing behind the bleachers like a slow drum. At 8:07, the screen flickered to life without previews, showing grainy home movie footage of kids cannonballing into a lake, then teenagers grilling under sparklers, images so specific I nearly choked. They were my own VHS memories from a 2003 family reunion, details no one else could own, the exact rip in my swim trunks, my cousin's retainer glinting beneath braces. Other drivers murmured confusion, some laughed, thinking this was art house nostalgia. A Chevy 2 spaces over honked as its occupants pointed. The film had jumped to their childhood Christmas morning, snow swirling, a dog bounding that looked nothing like ours. Every vehicle's speaker now broadcast individualized soundtracks, my mother's voice scolding about sunscreen echoed only from my grill, while the Chevy's speaker piped tinny carols. I tried my phone. No service. A kid in a lifted pickup clambered from his truck bed. Shouting the footage showed him crashing a dirt bike he never filmed. The night air thickened, warm but clammy, carrying a burnt ozone tang. Without fanfare, the projector cut to a single countdown leader, numbers burning from 10 to 1, then a black title card, next reel, unseen. The lot lights dimmed, engines clicked silent as if drained, wind stirred dust devils near the concession stand skeleton, and on screen appeared a scene no one could have filmed. Me, 2 minutes earlier, still staring, open-mouthed, sweat beading under collar, the camera drifting closer like a drone above the roof of my Hyundai. The angle pivoted, revealing the entire audience from behind, but every head besides mine sat slumped forward as though drained of interest. Heart jackhammering, I craned around. The people in metal chairs and truck beds indeed sagged, shoulders drooped, mouths slack, yet eyes fixed unblinking on the screen. Their speakers hissed breath sounds matching their chest movements, a synchronized rasp that rose and fell with the faint generator beat. The movie zoomed into my face again, lips moving though I'd spoken nothing, faint audio bled, "Stay for the feature." A cold sensation crawled my spine despite desert heat. I twisted the volume knob, silence, though the image continued mouthing. I jammed keys into ignition, engine failed to turn, dashboard dead. Headlights across the lot blinked off in unison, leaving only projector glow. On screen, my film version opened the driver door, stepped out and pointed upward. Something flashed at the top edge, a sliver of mirror, then the reel burned white. The real projector beam now shone through a faint mist raining from nowhere, and droplets steamed away before touching hoods. Speakers crackled, each car emitting an individualized phrase. Mine whispered coordinates, mile marker 54, while others begged change the ending or keep your eyes open. Simultaneously, all slumped viewers inhaled sharply, sat bolt upright, and in the same breath recited feature begins at total dark. Their heads pivoted toward me alone, faces dull but pupils reflecting projector glare like animals on night cam. Tires screeched as the pickup kid floored reverse, yet his truck lurched forward instead, ramming a sedan, headlights fusing in sparks though no horns sounded. My Hyundai doors locked with a metallic thunk. I smashed window controls. Nothing. The screen went black. Seconds later, static resolved into an aerial night shot of the drive-in lot, real-time, as if a drone hovered overhead. White crosshairs targeted my car and digital text stamped "Run, time 000000." It began counting upward. I kicked the door. Latch remained frozen, though no child lock engaged. The speakers switched to a low-frequency hum, dialing from 20 to 0 Hz. Vibrations rattled steering column, made vision blur. Count hit 000013, and every other car engine roared alive. Throttles pinned, though drivers remained motionless. Exhaust fumes billowed in shimmering waves. From the projector shack, a new reel launched flame-lit silhouettes, dragging something across gravel, heavy limp toward a yawning slash in the screen fabric that now rippled like liquid glass. The drag bundle twitched once, recognizably human, before vanishing through the slit. Crosshairs on my feed flashed yellow. Timer 000100 exactly, and the Hyundai unlocks clicked. An automated voice from my speaker announced, "Accept edit or roll final cut." Instinct screamed to run. I flung the door, tumbled out, sprinted between idling bumpers toward the exit. Asphalt shifted beneath each step like conveyor belts reversing. No matter how hard I ran, the gate retreated. Screen looming larger behind, fabric slit widening with each time a second. I dove under a hatchback, shimmied to the fence, clawed chain links until rusted wire snapped and I spilled into sagebrush. Silence. Turning, I saw the lot empty. Cars gone, screen torn to shreds fluttering in calm air. Only my Hyundai idled centerfield, trunk popped. Police later found it abandoned, projector demolished, no evidence of other vehicles ever present. Security cams from a neighboring storage yard recorded only night haze and one faint flash at 000113, then darkness. My car's dash cam held corrupted files named 54 feet, 0001 through 0006, each exactly 13 seconds of static followed by a still frame of the drive-in taken from progressively higher altitudes, as if a camera ascended with every failed deletion attempt. When I play them now, the altitude stops climbing at frame 7 and instead begins closing in again, returning to ground level, target crosshairs centered on whichever screen I'm using. The runtime counter stays paused at 000113 until lights go out, and then a new file appears, adding another 13 seconds to a feature I fear will only end once I'm back motionless in a seat beneath some coastal desert sky, scheduled to watch the unseen reel that plays long after theaters and summers crumble to dust. In late August of 2020, when a heat dome kept Phoenix nights hovering above 90, I sublet a ranch-style house in the Sunny Slope neighborhood so I could finish my thesis in quiet before the fall semester, and to beat cabin fever, I jogged after sunset along cul-de-sacs lined with sagging mesquite. Sprinklers hissed, dogs barked, cicadas droned, yet everything still felt normal until an ice cream melody I hadn't heard since childhood drifted on the desert air, a chiming version of Pop Goes the Weasel, oddly slow, notes reverberating as if played through metal pipes rather than speakers. It seemed impossible so late, but nostalgia tugged me down side streets searching for the source. At the far end of 35th Drive, beneath an orange street lamp, idled a vintage step van painted sky blue and faded pink, freezer vents sweating in the heat. Hand-lettered across the side panel, Coolrite Treats serving PHX since 1963. No driver cab door, windows tinted black, yet the melody looped from a chrome horn above the windshield. Something about the tune's pitch made my molars ache, but the freezer's fog breath looked refreshing. I jogged closer. The rear serving hatch sat half open, interior dark except for a single glass case holding pops wrapped in wax paper. No brands. A handwritten sign read, "One per summer night, no charge." My wallet at home, thirst outweighing sense, I reached for a pale blue bar stamped with tiny white stars. The plastic coffin freezer felt warm, not cold, but the bar itself chilled my fingers like dry ice. I stepped back, wrapper, crackling in silence. The melody had stopped behind the tinted glass. Something shifted, a silhouette where no one sat before. Broad shoulders, cap brim low. My pulse kicked. Guilt over free candy. I peeled the paper, bit once. It tasted of wintergreen and dust, then sweetness like freezer-burned cotton candy. The truck's engine coughed alive, lights flickered, and without revving it rolled forward, passing inches from me. Through the windshield the cab looked empty. Yet the steering wheel twitched, the melody resumed, slower, descending in key, trailing off as the van turned the corner and vanished beyond mesquite shadows. Back home, cool air blasting, I noticed the bite mark on the bar had vanished. The surface smooth again, stick-pristine unease blossomed. I tossed it into the trash, showered and tried to sleep, but at 2:17 a.m. the melody seeped through the swamp-cooler vents, faint but distinct notes warped like cassette tape baked in sun. I checked each window, empty street, no horn. My phone clock skipped ahead 13 minutes while I watched. Morning heat rose early. I found the wax paper wrapper on my kitchen table, though trash lid still latched. Printed stars had bled into vague constellations, stains cold to the touch. Day 2. I researched Coolright treats. A Labour Department PDF about industrial ammonia leaks referenced a company by that name fined in 1982 when a driver died of heat stroke in his sealed van after the coolant system seized. His route included Sunny Slope, last logged at 2:17 a.m., though ordinances forbid late sales. The business dissolved months later. That night, heat index 104, I resolved to record evidence, phone camera ready. I jogged earlier. Sure enough, the melody drifted at 10:11 p.m., same corner. This time the serving hatch yawned wider, a glow inside revealing rows of new bars, crimson, emerald, bone white, each labeled with tiny black letters spelling dates and temperatures. 118 degrees, 120 degrees, 122 degrees. The highest matched the record heat forecast for tomorrow. I asked aloud if anyone was there, but air tasted of Freon and old sugar. The handwritten sign had changed, "Take tomorrow's weather." My gut clenched. I backed away, yet curiosity tipped me forward. I lifted the white bar marked 122 degrees, shuddering at its grave-cold surface. The moment I removed it, every freezer row advanced, as though rails slid to fill the gap with fresh bars labeled higher numbers. The van's engine growled, headlights flared, bleaching the street. I spun to run, melody drilled into my spine. Notes climbing impossible octaves, rattling windows. My chest burned, lungs seizing, but I reached my porch as tires screeched. Rounding to face, I saw no truck, only a mirage ripple under sodium glow. Inside, AC died, thermostat blank. The white bar sweated on my palm despite its icy burn. Droplets sizzled where they hit tile. I stuffed it into the freezer beside normal popsicles, plastic interior fogging instantly. Power flickered back, house lights vomiting brightness. At dawn, news reported an unprecedented nighttime low of 102, hottest ever for Phoenix. My freezer thermometer read 122 despite compressor whining full tilt. Inside, every ordinary pop had melted except the white bar, now center rack, wrapper replaced by frost etching my address. When I touched the door, dried blood flaked from my fingertip, although no cut stung. I called HVAC repair. Tech arrived midday, sweat-drenched. He opened the freezer, cursed as vapor burst out. My phone chimed an amber alert tone, but displayed only heat warning, expect record with a spinning ice cream cone emoji. The tech fled without finishing. I emptied ice trays around the bar, hoping to cool it. Cubes vaporized. That night the melody returned at 2:17 a.m., louder, echoing gutter to gutter. Through blinds I watched the van idle directly before my mailbox, hatch newly stenciled with my freezer's serial number. The sign now read, "Payment due, return what spoils." My freezer compressor screamed, breaker tripped, kitchen lights died. I sprinted outside, clutching the bar wrapped in oven mitts. Air above asphalt shimmered, blistering as noon. Approaching the van, I felt cold radiating outward, heat retreating like tide. I tossed the bar into the hatch, frost exploded across steel, sealing the opening. The silhouette in the cab raised a hand in salute, engine whined, driving off. Power hummed back on up the street, crickets resumed. Morning temperature registered a record-tying 118, not 122. News anchors marveled at dodged bullets. My freezer cooled normally again, yet the serial plate on its compressor now reads Coolright Unit 54, 82, a manufacturer that never existed. I donated the appliance. The hauler's truck crashed en route. Driver found inside unconscious from sudden hypothermia, though outside temp 110. Ice cream van sightings spiked that week between mile marker 54 and 82 on I-17, late nights only. Witnesses smell wintergreen before tires appear. I no longer jog after dusk, but the melody sometimes leaks from storm drains at 2:17 a.m., coaxing windows to frost despite record highs. I plug my ears and pray it passes. fearing the night it stops will be when Phoenix awakes to a dawn that never cools below boiling, because someone kept tomorrow's weather instead of returning it, and the truck has to balance the books with heat few bodies can survive. Summer nights promise easy thrills, until the rides, screens and sweet treats start collecting more than tickets. If these stories heated your pulse, like share, subscribe and hit the bell icon, because the next sound you chase in the dark might already have your name on its menu.